Are you willing to accept Christ's invitation to know Him more intimately, love Him more intensely, and follow Him more closely, and then go out into the world and live His good news? If you say yes, then you could be the 13th apostle. Join Tom Caffrey to share the goodness, beauty, and truth of Jesus Christ and His church. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the 13th apostle.
About 10,000 years ago, before the sea level rose dramatically at the end of the last ice age, Caldey was a hilly peninsula with commanding views over a wide river's estuary. Many archaeological finds have confirmed that Caldey was inhabited at that time and continued to be so after it became an island. Through the Bronze and Iron Ages, and during the Romano-British and Celtic Christian periods. Who could have imagined that 10,000 years later, a young man or lad, himself a Celtic Christian on a pilgrimage to Rome, would seek out this holy slice of heaven, placed on God's green earth, and end up crossing paths with a young woman, or lass, herself an inhabitant of this turf, also a Celtic Christian, and probably the pilgrim's distant cousin, who, as quick as you can say, Mr. Timony, would repair a tear in said pilgrim's pants so that he could continue onward toward the eternal city with both pants and honor intact and no shame to his family's name. No one could have imagined that. Welcome back, friends, to another episode of the 13th Apostle, where we explore the good, beautiful, and true of the Catholic faith and the church, including a Corkonian in exile on Caldey Island, home of Caldey Abbey. Rachel O'Riordan, welcome at long last to the 13th Apostle.
Well, thank you, Tom. Thank you very much for having me. I'm delighted. And I really, really appreciate your introduction. It's absolutely brilliant.
I had a great deal of fun writing that. Because I
often thought I should ask Kevin how is his pants doing, because I'm no expert with the needle.
Well, I don't know whether he still had his hat, which had bandages all over it.
Literally taped together. Yeah, it was brilliant.
Exactly. Okay, so
it was authentic looking.
Yeah, it definitely was authentic. I'm sure everybody was wondering, okay, well, how did the other guy do in this fight? What animal?
He's not there to tell the tale, so.
So tell the audience, first of all, how this whole thing happened, okay? And then
Caldey, a Corkonian in exile on Caldey, I suppose.
Tell us what's Corkonian. I think I know what it is, but I want to know. Yeah. Everybody wants to know.
Okay. Well, I'm from Cork, which is the most southern county in Ireland. And, people from Cork love Cork, and other people love to hate Cork and love to hate the people from Cork. We're very, very place proud in Cork. Very, I suppose people would say arrogant, but we would just say full of, patriotism for our little area of the world. Yeah, and we're sort of very warm people, very affectionate, and highly talkative, which you'll be happy about. Always up for the banter, for the crack. I actually remember I spent a summer away abroad in kind of Asia. I was in the Philippines and then I was in Thailand. And so I was away for about six or 8 weeks, and I came back and I just was so happy. All I wanted to do was walk through Cork City, because just to hear the people, the way they speak to one another, it was like so home, There is just a lovely interaction. It's a lot of ball hopping, a lot of kind of bantering between one another, and everyone is just basically roasting each other, but like just very affectionately. So I just remember that memory just was so striking. I was like, this is what I love about my place, I mean, there are lots of other things, but I love that sort of the interpersonal element it's very strong. I mean, it's strong all over Ireland, but the Cork way, as I said, it's kind of like a good example of this roasting. When the Queen visited Cork, she went through the market, the English market it's called actually, and there was a fishmonger, and he held up the ugliest fish in his stall, and he put it right in her face, and it was very ugly. And he said, "You know what we call this one?" And she said, "What?" And he said, "The mother-in-law." of course, she like burst out laughing, and that was picture, and it was framed all over Cork City. He got a book out of it. He even wrote a book, and it sold very well.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
See,
So
this is perfect. You're off to the races right now with that story. So, and you
so
you
that
put it you put in one of your emails to me, you referenced the motto and whatnot about the bard,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
just evidenced that. The oral tradition. You just carried it on beautifully.
Yeah. Oh well, you know what? I'm not going to take any credit for that because this is just the way people talk to each other at home, full of stories and banter and music. Even people have pointed that out since I've been in the UK. Everyone at home sings. I mean, it doesn't matter if they can sing, they sing. Um, we're always looking for an excuse, really, for a few jars and a bit of crack. So if you're there and you're just present in your body, it doesn't matter like what your talent is or what your talent isn't, you're going to have to sing. And so everyone gets their chance and everyone is clapped and cheered and we're all sort of encouraging it. So, people have just a nice kind of confidence, that not every culture has, I've seen.
Well, wait, hold on now. So, is the reason you are in exile on Caldey Island is because of
Hmm.
your last singing performance?
You've got me.
That's, I'm
Man,
sorry.
you're
It's
good.
just in the Irish echo. I'm gonna we found her hiding in shame.
This doesn't go home, does it? This kind of it's not stream at home in Cork. It better not be. No, the Caldey, I've gotten a bit distracted, as you see. A Cork person will typically get distracted about Cork and just stay in Cork. But I've ended up here because I actually was in a monastery myself on another island, the Isle of Wight, in a beautiful monastery called Saint Cecilia's, which has gorgeous liturgy, and we did a lot of singing, beautiful stuff. So I was there for a few years, still in formation, and it came to, wondering whether I would keep, my vows or renew them. And, after sort of a lot of discernment and a lot of discussion with the abbess, it was felt really that it wasn't I had too many doubts to keep going, just too unsettled. And so at that stage, when it was decided I wouldn't go ahead, I was talking to this other Cistercian nun that I have, a friend of mine. She's lovely, lovely sister in Glencairn, Waterford, a Cistercian monastery. And she told me that they were looking for help here in Caldey Island to run their guest house. And so I had been telling her, you see, that I was looking for just some sort of summer work or something, just not to go straight back to Cork, back to everything, because I was teaching and, it would just be a big transition after being in an enclosed monastery under papal enclosure, so the strictest form of enclosure, to just go straight back into all that party and crack, you know, kind of overwhelming. So, and also just to take time to think about what I want to do next. And this was just, I really believed it was Providence. She told me about it. Like I just was speaking to her with, no design. I was just chatting and she mentioned this, or she emailed me actually a couple of hours later about it. And I emailed the abbot here, and that was it. And so I've been here, and really, it is a slice of heaven. You described it as a slice of heaven, and this place is just, I mean, I hate to use the word magical,
Oh,
but
you're Irish. You're Irish, so go ahead.
yeah,
Perfect.
well, you could use the word a thin place, I think
Yes.
yeah, it's one of those places where the kind of spirituality, it's just so alive. You can feel it. It kind of invades you when you arrive. And even like that's exactly how I would describe it, that there's this sort of, it's almost a presence. And when you arrive here, it kind of invades you in the best way possible. Yesterday I collected a guest, and he said the exact same thing. And he was just saying, I can even feel it now. Like, and he just started saying, he said, I can feel it now, the peace coming in. It just does. And you can't really, I mean, it's understandable with like over 1,000 years of prayer going on here on this island. Monks, just men giving themselves day in day out, praying the Psalms. And if that's been going on for like basically 1,000 years more, is
I
what
never thought
Cork
about it
builds up.
that way. I'm so glad you described it that way. A thousand years of prayer, and I'll never forget that. That's a great
Mhm.
expression because you have religious places all over, and they're filled with prayer and whatnot. But a lot of them are tourist sites where there's just a lot of people. It's distracting and whatnot. And that's not to take anything away from them, but it's to put more of the well, I imagine you have fewer distractions on
Yeah,
Caldey Island than you do in Rome, for example.
absolutely. You could say that again and again and again. It's truly a haven. I've never experienced any place like it, to be honest. And I've been to a lot of places, like religious and otherwise, and different areas, like in Asia and, on all sorts of lovely, peaceful holidays. But this place has got something of heaven about it. And there's just no other way of kind of describing it. When I arrived here, I was just totally overwhelmed for weeks by the beauty. So, I mean, I'd be extremely responsive to beauty anyway. I mean, everyone is, but I think, you're kind of usually dismantled by one of those, truth, goodness, or beauty, and beauty would be my thing. And it felt like it was breathing itself. It's almost like its own thing. The island is almost, it's a presence, like, and you kind of interact with it. It's a very special place. And I think the idea of the thin place, as you spoke about before, there that describes it pretty well, Yeah.
Yeah, the you said that you have this interaction with it, but I don't know, and it's funny to think of an interaction because it's got to start somewhere. Uh,
Hmm.
and either if you've put yourself in the position or the place, and certainly if you're open to the spirit, the capital S spirit, that's where the interaction. Maybe we're drawn to these places, these experiences.
Hmm.
It's God reaching to us, but we have to accept the offer. And if we don't do it consciously, if we're living the life where I think that you used the word predisposed to it, where okay, even unconsciously, if you've prepared your soil,
Hmm.
then there's going to be that God's going to plant something.
Receptive, you can receive, yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. I think you have to have space for this to come in, and it's not like nothing exactly. I mean, it is a grace. It's always going to be a grace anyway. But yeah, there's a quietness here that you need to be sort of willing and looking for, seeking it. If you are seeking it, it's like coming in abundance. I actually will read, if you don't mind, a reflection from a guest. Could I do that?
You know what I
Because
told you
we're
before we started this episode that, I'm sure as far as the audience is concerned, you could pick up anything and just start reading, or you didn't have to pick up anything, you're just talking and they'll just listen, taking it all in. Ah, listen to that poetic
it's
voice.
so beautiful. So this is from a guest. Let's see now if I can make this bigger for myself. Sorry, I'm just looking at my screen. So, yeah. So I asked him to write it because we were speaking about it, and he was speaking so profoundly. I was just like, could you please write this down? And because we're hoping to sort of set up a bit of a website to, we have a website for the island, but one for the monastic guest house, which I run or help the monks to run. And to have some of these blurbs up there so that people can see for themselves from people who've been here. So this man has been here for 26 years, right? So this is what he says. After 26 years of monastic retreats, Caldey Island continues to weave its quiet magic, drawing me once again beneath its gentle, enduring spell. The moment I set foot on the island, I feel myself received into its warm embrace, an embodied welcome that settles deep within me, permeating my senses like a soothing balm. The island, and indeed the rhythm of monastic life itself, is for me many things: a sanctuary, a refuge, an altar, a discipline, an invitation, a way of being. Woven together with the brothers' generous hospitality, ever welcoming smiles, and prayerful presence, These qualities create a profound sense of wholeness, a healing that continually renews, restores, and quietly reawakens my spirit. There is nowhere quite like Caldey. It is a place that gently calls me home, home to myself, home to stillness, home to the freshness of the present moment, home to the altar of my soul.
Wow.
He's not exaggerating, I can tell you that.
And you could take snippets of that and put it on your, your marketing campaign. And
Yeah,
although
I
you
said
got to
that's
be
all we
careful,
need, really.
you don't want to have be trampled. Then, because then you'll be Rome two, TWO.
No, and you know what? It's good you said that because I was so that was something I was so grateful for when I first met the island manager, and he grew up here. So he loves this place. He was so they used to have like full flourishing community with families and a school and everything, but it was always small. I mean, 40, 50 maximum. Um, but so he has this wonderful sense of the tradition of the place, the sacredness of the place. And he said to me, because I've seen places that do become very commercialized, and he said it's important to maintain what this place is, its essence, and it's a holy island. And even though we need to do some commercial ventures in order to keep the Abbey running, like literally we need money to keep that building going, and also the buildings on the island and the life here. It's not about making massive profit at all. Like all everyone is united on that. Everyone is about just keeping it as it is, preserving the tradition that's been handed on to us. Like really preserving it, reforming it wherever it needs reform. Yeah, it's wonderful to be with so many people from different walks of life who have a singular vision, and it's just a very wholesome one. It's great.
Wow, that's beautiful. Kevin said, he described the beauty of the island. In fact, he was comparing it to this other island where he had stayed, the monastery that, well, actually, our friends in the audience know about now, and
Yeah,
you and I mentioned. And he said that Caldey, that's Caldey.
that's
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
right? That Caldey is just stunning. And of course, if you're going on the website, just you can see the beauty there. And it's one of those places like you talked about before with beauty. It is that it's one of the three transcendentals, right? And it just it's with the transcendental, and thanks be to God for our faith that we have transcendence and immanence. We just don't want to be in the clouds or off somewhere else, right? Because the transcendence is it's somewhere over there. And
Yeah, yeah.
so you're right now, to me, Caldey Island and Caldey Abbey, and in fact you are transcendent to me right now. But you're imminent to
Hmm.
Caldey Island
Hmm.
and the Abbey. You're there and experiencing it. And now you knew about Caldey Island, so at one time it was something over
Yeah.
there, and now
I
you're.
actually didn't. I had never even heard of the place. That's
Oh,
how
oh wow.
like hidden it is. It really it's even people who live across the water all their lives. I'm telling you, that's what's so beautiful because it's like this treasure, like this hidden treasure. And so like at this, as you mentioned, like we don't want to have it commercialized, but at the same time we want to share it because it is a very wonderful place of healing. So many people come here and say that very fact. And even, like as I said, this thin place thing is so true. People come here, they experience what they experience. It's hard to kind of verbalize. And then they might meet a monk. This happened yesterday with a guest, and like the monk doesn't say anything, but they get emotional because I think like the monk is the character of religious life is to be an eschatological sign. So the monk is like this person that's like representing what they're experiencing, because he's pointing by his life to the fact that heaven is real and that we're all, we're all hoping for the resurrection of the dead at the end, and this victory is there for everyone, and if they want to. And so I think when you see, like, I see that happening, and people just like are in awe looking at these few men now at this stage, but thank God we have some more interested young men coming to stay. And actually, we're doing major vocations push and a prayer. We have a beautiful prayer that we're now like hundreds of people are praying in the last few months. And it's already like working. I mean, the Lord, all he wants to give to those, whoever, you just need to ask. So we're very, very hopeful about that. But to see the reaction of people to these monks, and a lot of them come and they have no faith or they're of other faith, but it's very, very that transcendence. That's, I think, it's exactly what you're talking about, because they feel this transcendence, that there's this sort of bringing out of themselves, and then they meet someone in the flesh who's a sort of he's literally an incarnation of this experience, in a certain sense, that this is real.
Hmm. Wow. I'll have to check the airfare. And
And the monks are so beautiful, they're very, like, the Cistercian monks, and they're just so freaking humble, like, and grounded. I think that's what I've learned about the Cistercian spirituality. So I was in a Benedictine house, which is also, the Cistercians are Benedictine as well. But the Cistercians, I think, are more grounded, they're kind of more sort of earthy or something. And like each of them, there's seven of them and six different nationalities. So you can imagine
wow.
that could be a lot of trouble, but it isn't. They're because they're just so well, they're all characters, like, so it's a miracle really that they could survive together. But like each of them, I mean, there's a wonderful, like, the abbot is Father Jan, he's from Belgium, and we have the prior is Father Gildas, he's English and he's the historian. He's wonderful. I mean, if you were to ever interview anyone, you should interview Father Gildas. He's a character and a half. Like, he's this big, long, white beard. I mean, he's just exactly what you think a monk is.
Uh,
Brother Luca is Welsh. Welsh Italian. Lovely accent. I just love the Welsh accent. It's great. Father Daniel is Dutch, and he was the abbot. And he's beautiful singer, wonderful voice. He's the cantor. Brother David is English. He's a poet, former lawyer. And Father Simon Peter, Kenyan, and Brother Benedict. He's from Denmark. Very interesting. He
wow.
entered at 87. Can you imagine?
Wow. I've never heard of that.
But he's a wonderful, wonderful active member of community. I mean, it's amazing how much he does.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm amazed. What a group. Uh, and then there's you. Uh,
The random. I'm the Mrs. Doyle of the affair. Have you ever seen Father Ted?
I've seen, I've never seen a full episode. I've seen like one or two parts of one or two.
They all call me here Mrs. Doyle because I actually behave like Mrs. Doyle. And I don't mean to. It's just being Irish. Someone sits down and they say they won't have a drink. Go on. Go on. Just literally like, you are Mrs. Doyle.
Okay. We're all going to go now and watch Father Ted.
Don't. You could do so many more things.
I want to
I
see
don't want that
Mrs.
the message
Doyle.
to be.
I know there's Bally Kiss Angel and there's
Stop the lights. That's an old one.
that is an old one. There's a couple others, but all right. There's no one would get an idea of suffering based on everything you've just said. But now we've come to the point of suffering, which means this episode has to end. So
Oh,
suffering is part of our lot.
it is. Everything comes to an end, except for the reign of Christ.
You know it. You know it. Well, okay, Rachel, this was episode 1 for you. All right. We have a lot of numbers after 1, so we're gonna see how this goes. I'm sure I'm certain that we have just scratched the surface
Yeah.
of everything you could talk about. Everything.
Well,
So, and by the way, Kevin, my son Kevin, he sent me a photo of him with your sister.
yes, yeah. He went to see her on the Isle of Wight. Shock. So my
Yeah.
younger sister is in the monastery as well. She entered after me. So she was below me. She's younger than me as well, in actual age. But she's still there and she's going strong. She's the cook. And yeah, I'd say she was delighted, but I don't have contact with her now. So, I mean, he knows more about her now. They're it's kind of wait for the next letter. The next letter will be in sort of 3 weeks' time.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Okay, so we'll wrap it up. And before you go, I'm going to say my usual remarks. And then you're going to close this out. You're going to bring us home with the St. Patrick's part of St. Patrick's breastplate. So, friends out there, thank you for the support as always. WQPHradio.org. And up next is the Angelus, followed by Peter and Jemmy, your prayer intentions. Thank you, Mary Ann, Jean, and James, always for the support. And Rachel O'Riordan, thank you so much for joining me and joining us on this episode of the 13th Apostle. And I look forward to
Thank
the
you,
next one.
Thomas, for having me. Thank you.
Okay, so finish off with the prayer, please.
I summon today all these powers between me and all evils, against every cruel and merciless power that may oppose my body and soul, against every knowledge that corrupts man's body and soul. Christ, to shield me today, so that there may come to me an abundance of reward. Christ with me, Christ before me, Christ behind me, Christ in me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ on my right, Christ on my left, Christ when I lie down, Christ when I sit down, Christ when I arise, Christ in the heart of every man who thinks of me, Christ in the mouth of every one who speaks of me, Christ in every eye that sees me, Christ in every ear that hears me.
Amen. Thank you, Rachel. Did a great job.
Thank you, Thomas.
See you again.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the 13th Apostle with Tom Caffrey. Tom's website is faithpilgrims.com or email trcaffrey@faithpilgrims.com. How about you? Will you be the 13th Apostle?